Let's say you have $10,000 saved up. If you put your money into a regular checking or savings account, even after 10 years, your money will have only grown to a pathetic $10,151. If you put your money into a high-interest savings account, you could potentially end up with almost $15,000, a whopping $5,000 more. And yet, so many people are missing out on this. 82% of Americans are not using a high-yield savings account, and it wouldn't surprise me if it's similar for Canadians. Many people are simply not aware that they can get so much higher interest. It simply wasn't much of a thing a decade or so ago, or they just think that it's too complicated. So in this video today, let's talk about why you need to consider to open a high-interest savings account, especially nowadays.
I mean, the price of everything is going up but the pay, so it seems like everything is more expensive.
How you can double your money faster, and what mistakes to avoid. Whether or not you've started investing your money, you need to keep a portion liquid, meaning it's accessible right now within 5 minutes if you need it for an emergency or for something you're planning to buy within the next few weeks or months. That is why you don't put all of your money into stocks, which could drop in value just as you need the money, incurring a loss. We can certainly debate about the exact amount of emergency cash that you need, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, but whatever the amount, just don't leave it around in a regular checkings or savings account where you practically earn nothing. And with some banks, you literally earn nothing in a checking account. As low as 0.005% with some savings account, I kid you not. 0.01%, which is still laughable. And if some banks are being very generous, you'll get something like 1.3% or so. Well, at least there's a number in front of the comma. By the way, I challenge you to look up right now how much you earn in your checking or savings account. Let me know in the comments down below. The super low interest level is just ridiculous, especially since in the past years, the Bank of Canada rate has kept on going up. And when the BOC increases its rate, variable mortgage rates go up as well. What many Canadians didn't notice was that while the BOC or Bank of Canada rate had been sitting at 5% for quite some time and mortgage rates going up in the last years, the interest rates for checkings and savings account have not kept up. A 0.01% interest rate on $10,000 is just $1. And even a 1.3% interest rate on $10,000 is only $130 per year. Something between 0 to 1 point something percent is what you're likely currently earning in your checking or savings account. And that's also where you're likely to deposit your salary into. And if you've accumulated some money there, you're just losing out and leaving money on the table. A better option is to move the majority of that money into a high-interest savings account, also known as a high-yield savings account. And most banks nowadays have some form of high-interest savings account in their offering. For example, EQ Bank offers 4%, Neo Financial 4%, Koho up to 5%, Tangerine up to 6%, and even some of the big banks I mentioned just now offer super high promotional rates, meaning that the rates only apply for a certain time period. For example, RBC 5.5% and Scotiabank up to 6.05%. And there's really nothing complicated about a high-interest savings account. A high-interest savings account works just the same as a traditional savings account, just that it pays you much more interest. And they also compound your interest daily, although your interest will usually be paid on a monthly basis. So it's just another account with a fancier name and real gains. So sure, you can keep a few $100s in your checking account in case you need it, but put the rest of the money that you need to access short-term into a high-interest savings account. Now, does it really matter? What's the difference of 1, 2, or even 3% after all? There are two connected reasons. Number one is inflation. And you don't need a chart to show you that inflation has gone through the roof. You feel it when you go to the supermarket. And I'm not telling you here that a 3 or 4% higher interest rate on your $10,000 or $20,000 short-term savings will make you a millionaire or even help you beat inflation. I'm not that delusional. But it might help you to at least ease the impact of inflation somewhat by preventing the value of your savings to completely burn away. And the second reason why a few more percentages matter has to do with the rule of 72, which is the length of time required for an investment to double in value at a fixed annual rate of return. Let's use the example of $10,000 as your savings again. Let's look at this table here, and it's not as complicated as it looks. The rule of 72 says that if you earn 1% on your money, it will take you 72 years to double your money, so from $10,000 to $20,000. If you earn 2% on your money, it will take you 36 years to get from $10,000 to $20,000. To calculate the number of years it will take to double your money, you simply divide the number 72 by the interest rate. So let's say that you put $10,000 into a high-interest savings account that earns you 5% based on a promotional rate. And of course, that promotion could just last 4 months, so after that you would need to move the money to another financial institution so that you keep getting a higher rate. And sure, I know that one day this high-interest rate environment might come to an end. But to explain this concept, let's just assume that you will be earning 5% consistently in the long run. That means that if you use this formula and divide 72 by 5, it will take you 14.5 years to double your money from $10,000 to $20,000. Granted, 15 years seems like an awful long time, but still, wouldn't you rather double your money after 15 years than letting it lose value? And you can use this formula for any number. So if you have $50,000 at 5%, then it will also take you almost 15 years to double that amount from $50,000 to $100,000. And that is significant. But one word of caution though, which I'll talk about later. Now, if you're wondering how to choose a high-interest savings account among so many options, it's pretty simple. First, make sure that the financial institution you leave your money with is CDIC insured. This means that no matter what, unless the whole country or the whole world collapses, are protected up to a certain amount. Second, check the fees for opening such an account, including if there are any account opening fees, maintenance fees, withdrawal fees, and so on. And ideally, you want to have none. Third, it goes without saying, you ideally want to get the highest interest rate possible for the longest time. And fourth, remember that you are never stuck with a single financial institution. As these super high interest rate promos paying 5% or even 6% oftentimes only last for a couple of months during the promotional period, you can easily switch to another bank or financial institution so you keep getting those very high interest rates. And with most financial institutions nowadays, you can open a high-interest savings account completely online. And if you have an existing account already, for example, Wealthsimple, you can add a cash account in less than a minute. And by the way, I've been using Wealthsimple myself for over 3 years and I've been pretty happy with them. Their version of a high-interest savings account is called a cash account, which earns you a minimum of 4%. And if you do a direct deposit of your salary into that account of at least $2,000 each month, you can boost that interest rate up to 4.5%. I personally like Wealthsimple a lot because it's just so easy to use, especially for beginners. And there's no account minimum and 0 monthly fees. If you want to try it out, you can use my referral link in the descriptions down below, and both you and I will each get $25 as a bonus once your account is funded. Now, how much money should you actually leave in your high-interest savings account, cash account, or any other non-registered account for that matter? I can't tell you the exact number because it will depend on your overall portfolio. But one thing that's really important to note is that any interest you earn on any investment is usually subject to taxes, capital gain taxes, unless you put it into a TFSA. In short, you can imagine a TFSA as a bucket into which you can put money and invest it, which then gets tax sheltered. Any interest that you earn within that TFSA is not taxed, so more money for you to keep. The amount of money that you can keep in your TFSA is limited though. But as long as your TFSA bucket still has room in it, consider putting more money into it. And by the way, here I'm only comparing TFSA versus savings outside of a TFSA, not TFSA versus RSP. That's another story which I talk more about here. So within the TFSA, in some instances, you can still put your money into a high interest savings account if that financial institution offers it, not all do, or simply put it into a GIC or a guaranteed investment certificate, which also offers higher interest than a regular savings or checking account. But another important thing to remember is this: when you put money into a TFSA, it usually takes more time to get the money out, anywhere from 24 hours to several business days. And that is why you never want to put 100% of your money into your TFSA. On the other hand, your money in a checking, savings, or high-interest savings account is accessible immediately, or within 5 to 10 minutes at the most. Personally, I like to keep between $10,000 to $20,000 max outside of my TFSA. Now, in case you want to learn more about what a GIC is and what a TFSA can do for you, then watch these videos over here. And don't forget, if you want an easy way to finally start investing, then check out Wealth Simple. My link is in the descriptions down below. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you pretty soon in the next video. Bye!